I hope this message finds you well and that you and your loved ones have continued to stay safe throughout the pandemic. We are so sad that we've had to cancel this year's Coquillard event, but please know that the health and safety and well-being of our entire community is the utmost important. But it still wasn't a decision that was an easy one to make because it's something that we look forward to each and every year. It's a chance that we get together in person and get to celebrate you and all of the amazing things that you helped us to accomplish this year because of your generous support. So while we're not in person, please know that you are the reason for so many incredible milestones in our community. I want to take a moment to talk about this before and after. I think it will always be a defining moment for the rest of our lives, of life pre-COVID and life post-COVID. Pre-COVID, we know that 37% of families in our community were struggling to make it month to month, struggling to make it paycheck to paycheck. And we're literally having to make sacrifices each and every day, having to decide what do they need to give up in order to make it to the next month. So you can imagine the devastation that occurred when COVID swept through our community. But pre-COVID, there was that little bit of peace that we had knowing that we had over 20 amazing nonprofit partners and over 40 programs that we were able to support because of you in our community that we knew were making a difference for those families and providing the supports and resources to help them live a life in which they actually had a chance to thrive. But the number that stands out the most to me is that while we have all of these amazing programs in place, we still had 47,000 crisis cases opened in our county. But again, that little piece of hope that I find is that we were able to serve all 47,000 cases. We were able to make sure that people had access to rent assistance, food assistance, utility assistance, crisis intervention services, transportation to and from medical appointments, and even help them afford the cost of their medication. While that number is staggering, we were there, but we were only there because of you. I think in that March time and when COVID started coming closer and closer and closer to us, to me, that's where life just kind of stood still. It froze. But I had this sense of urgency, while at the same time a sense of peace, that not only did we need to do something and do something quickly, but I knew we were able to. But it's because of you and your long-standing support that gave us the courage and the confidence to publicly launch on March 17th our COVID-19 Response and Recovery Fund. This is who we were meant to be. This is why United Way started over 100 years ago to respond to the TB crisis. I wrote down in my office on my dry erase board $500,000. I knew it wasn't going to be enough, but knowing all of the uncertainty that came down, that was a number that scared me enough. So you can imagine the feeling and just the total emotion in general when we surpassed 400,000 in 48 hours, $1 million just over a week later, and $3 million 3 weeks into launching our fund. To date, we've supported over $1 million in our community. We've developed a 4-part plan from emergency, crisis intervention, all the way to reimagining and rebuilding our community. We're using real data. We're bringing the experts to the table. We are leveraging partnerships and resources and relationships. We were able to jump into action. We didn't need to stop and think who's already doing what, who's good at this. We already knew. We were able to convene resources and expertise together to start getting funding out the door and into our community right away. So I'm making a promise to you today that not only will we rebuild our community, our nonprofit community, but I promise to reimagine our community, to make it a more equitable and resilient place for every single person, so that if or when a crisis hits again, the devastation that occurred and is still currently occurring will not be as severe. That is my promise to you. So I thank you for living united. I thank you for giving us the hope that our community is a place where everyone can thrive because we truly care about each other, about people we've never met. So please, until we can see you again in person and celebrate and thank you in person, be well, be safe, and thank you for living united.